Today we'll be working in my workbook called Clearing a Pathway into the Psalms. It's Psalms 32 to 41. And today we'll be working on Psalm 39, Prayer for Wisdom and Forgiveness. The titles here are not ones that were on the original Psalms. They were given to them later, just like any other title of a chapter or whatever, to give you an idea of what it's going to be talking about. So in Psalm 39, no, that's not it. Okay. Psalm 39, Prayer for Wisdom and Forgiveness. For the director of music, for Jeduthun, a Psalm of David. I said, I will watch my ways and keep my tongue from sin. Put a muzzle on my mouth while in the presence of the wicked. So I remained utterly silent, not even saying anything good, but my anguish increased. My heart grew hot within me. While I meditated, the fire burned. Then I spoke with my tongue. Show me, Lord, my life's end and the number of my days. Let me know how fleeting my life is. You have made my days a mere hand's breadth. The span of my years is as nothing before you. Everyone is but a breath, even those who seem secure. Selah. Surely everyone goes around like a mere phantom. In vain they rush about, heaping up wealth without knowing whose it will finally be. But now, Lord, what do I look for? My hope is in you. Save me from all my transgressions. Do not make me the scorn of fools. I was silent. I would not open my mouth, for you are the one who has done this. Remove your scourge from me. I have overcome by the blow of your hand. When you rebuke and discipline anyone for their sin, you consume their wealth like a moth. Surely everyone is but a breath. Selah. Hear my prayer, Lord. Listen to my cry for help. Do not be deaf to my weeping. I dwell with you as a foreigner, a stranger as all my ancestors were. Look away from me, that I may enjoy life again before I depart and am no more. So the first thing I do is I have to give you some commentary on it before we deep dive on it. I've selected a number of commentators, but not, of course, every commentator will say something different. This psalm is part of the first book of Psalms. There are 5 books of Psalms. The NIV Study Bible states that Psalm 39 is the same as Psalm 38, which is a prayer for relief from serious illness and enemies, a confession of sin. It is part of a group of Psalms 38 to 41 that are grouped together because they're united by common themes of confession, repentance, physical and emotional distress from sin and enemies, and the ultimate hope and trust in God's deliverance. According to Jameson, Fawcett, and Brown, Psalm 39 is a didactic or wisdom psalm of human life vanity. According to J. Vernon McGee, Psalm 39 is a psalm for funerals. Historically, since David doesn't specifically tell us when it was written, Bible scholars can disagree. For Psalm 39, the Blue Letter Bible believes this psalm was written near the end of David's life, around 1 Chronicles 28:21. The Nelson Chronological Bible has it written when David places the ark inside the temple, or after 1 Chronicles 16. Since Jeduthun is named, it's more likely around 1 Chronicles 16. The subheading that was given with the psalm was that it was a psalm of David. Although the word that translates as of could mean about and not by, this could mean that someone else wrote it about David or like him in style, rather than him writing it. In this case, however, all Bible scholars agree that David wrote it. David also adds in the subheading for the director of music for Jeduthun. From this we know that David wrote this psalm to the choir master, director of music, which is interchangeable with chief musician. In David's time, this would be either Asaph, Jeduthun, or Heman. However, this is specifically to Jeduthun. Jeduthun, also known as Ethan, was a prominent Levite musician. Since David is specific, this should help us date the psalm. The psalm is divided down in the following sections. Section 1, David struggled to hold his tongue, verses 1 through 3b. Section 2, life is fleeting, verses 3b through 7. Section 3, save me from all my transgressions, verses 8 through 11. And section 4, Hear My Prayer, verses 12 through 13. Basically, this psalm sets up a situation in the start of the psalm. But instead of giving in to the urge David talks about in the beginning, he turns to God and adjusts his thinking. Section 1, David struggled to hold his tongue, verses 1 through 3b. In this section, David tells us his problem. David first tells us that he's going to watch what he says. I will keep my tongue from sin. I'll put a muzzle on my mouth. I will remain utterly silent. What tells us that what he wants to say has to do with the wicked? Oh, in the presence of the wicked. And since he's keeping it silent, it's like that. Okay. How do we know that David is having a hard time keeping quiet? But my anguish increased. My heart grew hot within me while I meditated. The fire burned within me. We can learn a lot from the tense of the verses. Which verse of this group is in future tense? Verse 1, I will watch my ways and keep my tongue from sin. I will put a muzzle in my mouth while in the presence of the wicked. Looking at these tenses in past and future tense, we see a length of time. In the distant past, he told himself to hold his tongue. In the future, and then we see what's happening in the recent past with him holding his tongue and having a hard time of it. Section 2, Life is Fleeting, verses 3c through 7. What does verse 3c say? Then I spoke with my tongue. You were expecting David to let the wicked know his thoughts, let them know what they are doing wrong, sinning by getting angry, but he doesn't do that. Instead, he turns to God. Instead of sinning, instead of making himself look important, David asks God to show him how unimportant he is to the plan of my life. Show me, Lord, my life's end and the number of my days. Let me know how fleeting my life is. You have made my days a mere hand's breadth. The span of my years is nothing before you. Everyone is but a breath, even those who seem secure. Surely everyone goes around like a mere phantom. In vain they rush about, heaping up wealth without knowing who it will finally be. He ends the section with a question and an answer in verse 7. What does he say? But now, Lord, what do I look for? My hope is in you. How does verse 7 resolve the problem of holding his tongue? That it isn't as important. He needs to have his hope in you and Lord, not to think about all the petty things he can say. David adds to the conclusion of his thoughts by closing verse 5 with the verse with Selah, which means denoting a pause in music or thought. Section 3, Save me from all my transgressions, verses 8 through 11. Now David becomes introspective. He sees the sin he almost did as greater against God than the sin the wicked was doing that he was going to speak about. He also sees that he had no right to speak as he was a sinful man. In verse 8, does David ask to be saved from this one transgression or more than one? Saved from all my transgressions. Did David tell the wicked what he wanted to tell them? I was silent. No, I did not open my mouth. What does the second half of verse 9 say? For you are the one who's done this. What has God done exactly? At first I thought it was keeping David's mouth shut, but other Bible scholars say that was the events around him that God had done, not the keeping of David's mouth shut. This does make the balance of the section make more sense. Since God is in control of all things, David is saying the problems he is having with the wicked, it's God's rebuke on David. Therefore, with the above thought on mind, what does David ask for God? Do not make me, verse fools, the scorn of fools. Remove your scourge from me. I am overcome by the blow of your hand. When you rebuke and discipline anyone for their sin, you consume their wealth like a moth. How is verse 9 like verse 2? I am silent. I will not open my mouth, for you are the one who has done this. So I remain utterly silent. So he's silent in both places. How is verse 11 like verse 5? When you rebuke and discipline anyone for their sin, you consume their wealth like a moth. Surely everyone is but a breath. Verse 5. You've made my days a mere handbreadth. So the same thing. Everyone is but a breath. In this prayer, he asked God for a few things. Hear my prayer, Lord. Listen to my cry for help. Do not be deaf to my weeping. Look away from me that I may enjoy life again. The King James Version translates the start of verse 13 as spare me that I may recover strength. This makes more sense as I don't believe David wanted God not to be there for him. The last line of verse 13 also connects to verse 4 and 5. Yeah. Oops, sorry. So I don't know what verse speaks well to you, but I'll let you decide on that. Psalm 39 is not precisely quoted in its entirety elsewhere in the Bible, but specific verses and themes are widely echoed and referenced in the other books, particularly in the Old Testament book of Job and the New Testament. The Jews used Psalm 39 to reflect on the brevity of life and the importance of careful speech, as well as to understand the concept of human vulnerability before God. The psalm is used in prayer and contemplation, particularly in times of hardship, to acknowledge God's role in suffering and to ask for a more meaningful life. Psalm 39 is not specifically designated for use in a particular Jewish holiday or celebration. Several songs are based on Psalm 39, including Lord Teach Me, Symphony of Psalms, Almighty Maker of My Frame, and Show Me My Life's End. And so concludes the analyzation of Psalm 39. I hope you continue your study in the Psalms. Thank you. Bye now.